Hi, my name is Beth with You, the Writer, and today I want to talk to you about editing your manuscript. I want to be really honest with you. This is the part that makes me crazy. Maybe it's because I'm more of a perfectionist than I realize, but when you're self publishing, you're wearing many hats. You are the designer, you are the editor, you are doing every rule. You're learning how to um, publish it as a print document. You're learning how to publish it for a Kindle version. So many different hats that you're wearing. And it's a lot to remember. It's a lot to think about. That's one of the reasons why I'm writing this book, You the Writer, because I want to help make it easier for you so that you don't want to cry more than you laugh. Because usually when I get to the editing process of any of my books, it is it takes longer than I realize. I'm really anxious. I am the type of person who wants to be done with something. I want to see the finished product. But when I start going through the editing, I realize there's just so much to do. So let me begin. I have some helpful hints that I want to share with you about editing. One of the things you're definitely going to want to use are style sheets. If you haven't watched my video about style sheets, I suggest that you do. Use these. These are your lifeline to making sure your document is uniform. Because sometimes when I'm editing my document, I'll look at it and I'll think, how did that happen? It's not justified. I'll see a paragraph that's not justified. Well, all I'll do is I know what style sheet I used for that paragraph and I'll go up there and click on it. Normal, because that's what this one is. So, and if there's something that I'm noticing that's not it doesn't look right, and honestly, I don't know how it happens. I swear my Microsoft Word has a mind of its own. I'm pretty sure it's not user error. Basically, it's the computer's fault. But, anyways, style sheets will help you keep it uniform. That way, you're not going back through your entire document and changing the font or the font size or any of that. All you have to do is click on that paragraph area basically, and whatever it was, you can change it. For instance, editing your manuscript. If I wanted to make that heading 2, I would just click on heading 2, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be heading 1. So let me go back to that. Anyways, that's just one of my first and absolute, you must use style sheets. Also, one of the things that I always do is I have this navigation pane open. If you're not sure how to do that, go to View in Microsoft Word and just click on Navigation pane. Just click that on, make sure it's clicked. That'll take it back off. Click it back on. And another thing that I like to do is I like to view it in multiple pages. And sometimes I like to view a lot of pages. And the smaller you make it, the more pages that you can see. However, I've had problems with this before because I mirror my margins, and sometimes I'll be just scrolling along and it'll just jump all over the place. And I thought it was something I had done, and it wasn't. So you might have to go back to one page view at times. It takes longer. But at this point, the reason why I would have it open in multiple pages is just so I could see if everything is on the right page. I'm just kind of looking just to make sure it doesn't look too close to the text, a picture that I have, like that one. I'm thinking, nah, it's fine. So just that would be the reason for viewing in multiple pages, because obviously you're not going to be able to edit the text this way, because if you try to, your eyes will be so tired by the end of the time you will be crying. Okay, so editing. Back to editing. That's one of the things. Always use this navigation pane. Then another thing that I do is I just go up to the very top of my document, and I do this several times. I'd like to say you only have to do this once. And if you use CreateSpace to publish your print book, you'll find that they even suggest that you do this at least 3 times. I wish it were that simple. Sometimes it takes me way more than 3. I'll go up to the front matter and I'll just start clicking through, make sure everything is on the right page. I'll just start scrolling through this. Make sure it looks like it's lined up correctly. My table of contents is there. Everything's on the right page. And that's just one thing I'll do. Another option, too, something I always do, especially for a print book, is I'll use this navigation page and I'll click on every single one of my chapter headings. And when I do have page numbers, in this book, this one's just going to be a Kindle for now. I'm not using any page numbers. So But when I have my print book, I will click here and make sure I have page number, but also I'll make sure it matches with this little page number on the screen here. And another thing that I do at this time is I will just check to make sure that my new chapter is also on an odd page. It doesn't matter for Kindle though. You don't want all those blank pages in Kindle that you have in a print book. So that's the nice thing about Kindle. So that's just another option, that something else I do when I'm editing my document, my final document. Trying to find that. Let me go back here to my helpful hints. Another thing that I do, I always do this, and my kids are funny. They'll just listen to me and ask me, "Who are you talking to, mommy?" I'm talking to myself. I reread everything. I go from the first place where I'm writing, my introduction, and I read it out loud, every single chapter. So you might want to break that up a little bit so that you don't get so tired. My lips get chapped during this time, but it helps me to hear what I have written just to see if it makes sense. Because sometimes I'll read it out loud and be like, that doesn't make sense. I need to rewrite that. And two, it helps you to see if you've made any mistakes as well, which I always find ways to rewrite it to make it sound better. And another thing that happens when I reread something out loud is I discover if I'm using the same word over and over again and on a page. And you get into a bad habit sometimes as a writer of, you find a word that you like, it sounds good, and you realize, whoa, I've used that word too much. Use a thesaurus. I always go online and I just I Google thesaurus, and there is one that I use all the time, but it drives me crazy because it has ads on it, which takes forever. By the way, I hate ads, but that's just the nature of the beast, and my internet is going slow right now, so I won't bore you with that. But use a thesaurus. Obviously, it's a no-brainer to spell check. I'd like to tell you that I do it every single time, but I don't, because Microsoft Word, for the most part, it it corrects it as it goes. Have you ever typed in a word that it's showing that it's not spelled correctly, yet Microsoft Word is not correcting it or giving you other options because you've got it spelled so wrong? Yeah, I do that every once in a while. But anyways, spell check. It doesn't take long. You can just come over here. I can't remember which one it is. I don't use it all the time. Oh, there it is. Spelling and grammar. Just ran a quick spell check. Another thing that I do when I'm editing, save your printer ink. I never print out my manuscript. Printer ink is too expensive. It is like precious fuel for some reason. You have no idea why it's so expensive, but it is. Save your printer ink. Order a proof from Create Space. Once you've edited and you're at that point where like, "No, I just want to see it because I need to have the print version as well in front of me because after I look at the screen for too long, my eyes get really tired and I just get frustrated and I need a few days away from the manuscript anyways. So in between ordering the proof on Create Space and getting it a few days later because I never pay extra for rush shipping, it gives me a few days away from it. My brain is fresh when I come back to it. And I'm always so excited when I get that proof. And it looks like your printed book. The only thing that's different is on the back of it, it'll read proof. I get so excited to see. That way you can check. You can look at the cover design. Do you like it? Recently I ordered a book and I hated the cover. And that forced me to make my own cover, to design my own cover. And I'm kind of glad that it forced me to do that because I really like what I designed. But look at the front and the back. Make sure there are no typos because sometimes you get really excited if you're like me and you don't realize that you've got a typo. I go through my entire proof book with a highlighter, page by page, just rereading it. I'll circle things and say, okay, rewrite this, whatever your style is, but I go through it line by line. And sometimes I do it more than once. I don't know if that's my OCD nature or not, but unfortunately I do that. So definitely order your proof, save your printer ink. They're so inexpensive on Create Space. None of my books have been more than $4 just for me to buy. So I always order a proof. After you've uploaded the manuscript on Create Space, At the same time, you'll be able to view on Create Space your document. Keep your Word document open at the same time and go through it page by page that way and make changes. If you see something, for instance, if you see an extra space, and I that drives me crazy, I'll do that. I'll see extra spaces that shouldn't be there. Then go to your Word document right then and fix it, because I found that if I try to remember it and write it down later, or just think, oh, I'll remember that page, I don't. Keep them both open at the same time. And that really helped this last time when I did that. Um, be picky. it, you did all this work. Now make it as professional as possible. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And I have to remind myself, and I also have to use that old cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day. I tell myself that all the time. And then get some fresh eyes to read if you have anyone who'll be so kind and read your book, and you know someone that loves to read. Let them read the proof. Don't print it out for them. Save your ink. Give them the proof. Order an extra proof that they can read and help you edit, especially if you know someone who is an English major. You would be really lucky if you could get them to read your book and also review it for you on Amazon. So, those are just some of my helpful hints. Remember, it's going to take time. It should take time. You want it to look good. You want it to sound good. You want it to read good. I know that's not great grammar right now, but you want everything to look as professional as possible. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Beth with You the Writer, and I would love to hear